loneliness, silence, anxiety. Too many men are carrying it alone. I'm Jack Starr, powerlifter, personal trainer, aerialist, and ex-private investigator, and this is The Other Side of Tough. We're rewriting manhood one conversation at a time, and today I have my guest, Conor Karrel. He works behind the scenes in the entertainment industry with movies and television, and he's also been a client of mine for around 2 years, and he's lost over 30 pounds. I couldn't be more proud of this guy. One of my best, most consistent, steady and determined clients that I've had. So welcome to the show, Conor. How are you doing?
Thanks. I'm doing great. It's a good
Great.
day.
Great. So let's start off talking about your fitness journey, because, it's quite incredible how, from when I first saw you, you were around 275 pounds. Now you're below 250 pounds. But before that, you said you were over 300 pounds.
Yes. So I've had a long fitness journey where I started. I lost weight. I was about 285 in high school, and then I started to lose weight after high school, and then I went down to about 225 at that time. And I'm a person who suffers from chronic depression, and I found that I could use weightlifting to treat it because it's the thing that works best for me. Then I was recently in a relationship for several years, and I had a really bad job that I took in Chicago, and it was really rough. And I came back, and my relationship suffered from it, and it just caused a bunch of dominoes to fall in the wrong direction. And the relationship ended, and I was by the end of it, I was 305 pounds.
Okay. What year was this?
This was would have been 2023. It wasn't that long.
Okay.
2022, 2023.
So right before I met you.
Right before you met me.
Okay.
And then right before I met you, about 6 months before, I started dieting again, and I went down. I only was down to actually 285 when I met you. So I was at 285 when we started, and now I'm like 249. So
incredible.
Yeah, it's going great. So it's the treatment for my depression is to work out. Lift, and I was tired of not looking good. You get to a point where you keep looking in the mirror and you're just like, I really don't like what I see. So you want to change.
Let's talk about that, because especially within men, this is very common, is body dysmorphia.
Yes.
And it's something that I suffer from myself. I always look at myself in the mirror, and I'm always, doing negative self-talk or seeing something that's not there about me. And it takes other people to tell me that. And so let's talk about that. How has that affected you, as in your general experience as being a man?
It affects me all the time. It's something that I constantly struggle with. There's days where I look in the mirror and I go, oh my God, I look really good. I've done so much work and I've come so far. And then there's days where I just go, I still look 305 pounds. Like, why do I feel like I look like that still? So there's it's moments where you just don't know why your brain is telling you the wrong information. Because I'm very lucky. I have great relationships, great friendships that constantly tell me, that I'm looking good, that I'm, they bolster me. They keep me thinking that, what I know that it's body dysmorphia and it's just my brain playing tricks on me. But it is just
like being in with something with like body dysmorphia. It's really important with the people that you surround yourself with.
Yes.
It's important to have those positive influences around you and not people that are hurt themselves, because usually they want you to feel they want you to feel as bad as they do about themselves. And it makes the body dysmorphia worse,
Right.
because and it's usually the people that are closest to you that will make you feel the worst about yourself, like
Yes.
family, and they'll be like, well, I don't know why you're doing that.
Yep.
You're never going to change anyways.
Yep.
I don't know if you've ever
I've
gotten
had
that kind of negative feedback, but I have.
I have had two different relationships that were verbally and mentally abusive people.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them were people who enjoyed tearing you down to build themselves up, and it was very sad. And looking back on that, after years of therapy, I realized that was what was happening, and it's frustrating to go through that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's especially in the gay community, we have so much more body dysmorphia issues in the gay community, because it is, and there's studies that prove this, that show that because of the unique nature of how we present ourselves as gay people out there. A lot of it is social media influenced. There is a lot of really, really attractive people, and we all try to build up to those levels, and it becomes a frustration point too when you're not looking as good as those other people, and you really want to.
One thing that I've found, because I have many friends that are, including yourself, but you're not like this, is that they're very hypercritical too, of especially appearance and physicality. There are very high standards. All you have to do is go one night in West Hollywood to the Abbey, and you're seeing like people with like 0% body fat, and you're like, oh my God, what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I could just imagine the pressure from that, because you don't see that so much with straight men. Us straight men, there's not that much of a pressure, and you see it in like TV shows too. It's always like the fat, jolly, like lovingly lazy guy, and all you have to do is be funny. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just have to be funny. But the gay community, I think there's really that pressure to have that aesthetic too.
But that has changed in the last 10, 15, 20 years, especially with superhero movies. That's been a thing that they've seen, that men are pressuring themselves to work out harder and do more steroids. Steroid use is rampant in straight communities. And it's a problem, because people like kids are doing it. Like I understand people who ethically use steroids when they get to a point where they can't do more than they can naturally. They decide, I want to be bigger and I want to be stronger and I want to do more. Then they will do the steroids, and they go to their doctors and they do, the way they're supposed to. And there's people, and whatever your opinions on using steroids or not, some people really, really hate it no matter what. And other people are like, you can do it ethically. But the problem, regardless, is that there are 18-year-olds, the 15-year-olds that are doing steroids out of the gate. And that's a huge issue. And that is something.
My advice,
that's not great.
My advice as a personal trainer that I tell all my clients, because I have had clients that use steroids, I'm not against it at all. Use it because I compete in tested competition. But, if my testosterone level ever got low, I would go see a doctor and get on testosterone replacement therapy. And I'm not against people who use steroids for whatever reasons they use it for. But my recommendation is always wait until you're 35 or after 35, because that's when your hormones peak, and that's when your testosterone levels peak. And that's, you gradually go down. Your testosterone level gradually goes down after 35. That's one recommendation, so you don't mess up your hormones. Definitely 18 or 19, you shouldn't be messing with this stuff. You should just be, eating well and doing the hard work, because you have all this natural testosterone and you're just wasting it, and you're totally crashing all your hormones for the future. And when you use steroids, it takes 10 years off of your life.
Yeah.
And that's what I always tell my clients too, is if you abuse it, it will abuse you. So that's why I always recommend, if you do it, you see a doctor, you get your blood work done often, you get checked up almost every 2 weeks to a month, and you have to put in work.
Yeah.
If you want to do it right, you have to put in work. But if you're just going down to Tijuana, buying some buying some Anavar and rolling across the border and just yahooing it, you're great for a little while, but you're going to start feeling really bad and depressed. Your hormones are going to crash, and you're not able to sustain that, and eventually you'll pay the price.
Yeah. It's really interesting too to hear people who have used it and used it to a certain level where it becomes, because there's a difference between what we consider steroid use and what we consider testosterone replacement therapy.
Mm-hmm.
The testosterone replacement therapy is, you're not going to go above 1,000 generally. Maybe a little bit more, but not a lot. Mm-hmm. But when you have people who are doing steroids, they're like 3, 4, 5 times more than that.
And some of these compounds are just insane. Like, I would never touch them. Like Trenbolone, Mast, those things will, like, I've talked to, because I have friends who compete professionally in powerlifting, and they have done those. They've, competed non-tested, and they've done Tren and Mast, and they said they have never felt like so awful in their lives. Like, they get huge results, but it like wrecks their relationships. It like totally messes with their minds. They get no sleep. They sweat at night. It sounds like a miserable experience. So I would recommend all the audience here, if you ever consider steroids, talk to your doctor.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. For me, the thing for me is that I value my intelligence more, more than anything in my life. And hearing people talk about using steroids, and they say that one of the things it really does is it makes them stupider. It actually makes them stupider. Like, they know things, they have information that they've learned, but they can't access it because there's something, the chemicals that the testosterone throws into their body.
It might make it more impulsive.
Yeah.
So you're not like critically thinking, and you're more impulsive off of like, emotions and, more, just going off of pure emotion than really critically thinking of things.
Yeah. But it's interesting to hear people say you can't access the information too, that it's like, you know this, but you just can't get it out of your brain. So that's an interesting thing. And it's like, that made me go, never going to use steroids.
Yeah. So do you think steroids is very like more prevalent in the gay community than it is a straight community, or do you think it's just an overall trend? Yeah.
I think it's definitely really overused in the gay community, unfortunately. Okay. I think people put so much pressure on themselves to look a certain way that they overdo it, and they go down that path, and they don't do it in a healthy way. It's fine. Like we were talking, like if you do it when you're older, and you've realized that you've hit your natural peak and you can't do more than that, and you want to go beyond that, you can do it ethically. But there's too many young kids that are doing it these days that it's not great. And it's in both the gay and straight community, but it's a lot of pressure in the gay community to really look a certain way.
And I assume, I don't know. I mean, so I was having this conversation with you the other day because I know from at least when I was younger, being a Gen Xer, kind of at the tail end of Gen X, starting of the millennium. I was born in 1980. When I went to middle school, it was very hard to come out as gay and to be a gay man at that young age. And I was just thinking, it's become a lot more accepted now. And one question I have for you, because you have the experience, is do you think that it's changed? Do you think it's easier to be a gay man growing up as a young man, going through school, like taking all that criticism? At least I know it was rough, like at my school. I mean, we had games like smear the, you know, Q word, the
Yes.
LGBTQ word,
Yeah.
right? And that's not like a very that's like a hateful
Oh yeah.
imagery right there. And so it was a terrifying experience if anyone was gay, because I was in an inner city middle school too,
Yeah.
and so there was a real big stigma about that.
Yeah.
How was your experience, and do you think that there's the experience that young gay men are experiencing today in high school, middle school? Do you think it's more challenging, or is it just different challenges?
I think it's different challenges.
Okay.
I think we are, especially right now in the political environment we're in right now.
Yeah.
We have an administration that's attacking young people. I think it's way harder right now for trans kids
Okay.
than anybody in the queer community. They are really taking the brunt of it for all of us, and it's terrible. The gay experience for me, it was I was born in '75, so I'm only 5 years older than you.
Okay.
But it was I grew up outside of Detroit, suburbs, but not inner city.
Yeah.
And it was I can't actually tell you what it was, how I felt about it for the high school students, if I was afraid that they were going to find me out, because I grew up in a very religious family, and it was more of a fear of them finding out than anybody at my school finding out. I didn't care as much about the people at school finding out that I did for them. But and when I came out, I kind of lost my family. They decided to back away from me and not be involved with my life. And it was rough losing my whole family, basically.
How did this happen?
I came out at 20, and they started to back away a bit, and they gave me ultimatums of things like, when you come home and don't talk about your life, don't do this. And then when I was 25, I was dating a guy, one of the abusive guys, who I had broken up with, and he was really angry about it. And I came home one day, and he started laying into me because we were still living together. This is like a week after we broke up.
Yeah.
And he had a massive heart attack and died in my arms. So he was 45.
And
I was 25.
Like it just natural heart attack?
Yeah. Yep. He didn't really take care of himself, and didn't go to the doctor when he told us he did, and he did not. So my mother used to speak to him on a regular basis about tons of stuff, cooking, different topics that they would get into, and then they refused to admit that he existed after he passed. And it was so it was a rough time for me, and it was a point where I went, these people are so toxic that I can't have them in my life. So I stopped talking to my whole family, basically. And I was a sexual assault survivor, and was sexually assaulted by somebody in my family, and none of them knew about that. But and then I had a death threat from my brother if I ever came out. So they're not great people.
That's horrible.
So it was a healthy choice for me, because I have since found more community and family that I could imagine. And
yeah. It's a lot of times the family that we choose, right?
Yes, absolutely.
The family that we're given.
Yes.
And I thank you so much for being so brave and talking about this, because I think that a lot of gay men go through the same experience as you. I hear a lot of people are rejected by their families.
Yeah.
What a horrible thing, what a horrible thing to say that you're a good mother or father and to reject your child because of their choice.
Yeah.
The
good news is it happens less and less. The younger kids these days are, coming out in elementary school. They're coming out when they hit puberty, when they figure it out and they know that, and they're like confident about it. And it's like, that is amazing. They don't skip a beat. For years, we talked about in the gay community how when I was coming out, it was a situation where no one came out in high school, no one came out in elementary school. That didn't happen. That wasn't a thing. So by the time you did come out, which generally a lot of the time in my generation, it was college age, 18, 19, 20, and so on. I came out at 20, but they say, you start dating roughly around 14 to 16. When you're a straight kid, that's when you start getting interested in girls if you're a guy. And so you start dating around that time and you start flirting with the whole dating thing. Well, us gay kids don't do that. We lose that, 4 to 6 years of dating experience.
So you don't have socialization, so it's a little bit more awkward when you're like older.
Right. So when I'm 20, I'm starting at like 14 to 16 years old of figuring out how to date to begin with. So there was that. So then, you have to shift a little bit. And then there's people like my ex, he was a great guy. He was married to a woman for 12 years, I think, in total. And he didn't come out until his late 30s, early 40s. And then it was like, oh, so now I have to figure out how to date guys after this. And that woman was the only person he had been with before that. So it was all very, very brand new.
It's like throwing all the pieces off the game and playing a completely new board game. You know what I'm saying? And
right. Yeah. It's moving from checkers to chess and going, what?
Yes. Oh,
but the younger generation now, I think they have different challenges with they're able to come out, but they still get pushback from people, and especially through social media. Social media thing.
I couldn't imagine having social media when I was a kid. I would be in Conor, I'd be in jail by now.
Right. So, exactly. It would be. Yeah, that thought is just terrifying. But it's a good thing that we've progressed, but we still have a long way to go. We're still fighting those fights in different arenas.
There's challenges of modernity,
right.
Just like you said, social media, new politics. Like,
yes.
I mean, since when we were like younger and the Clintons and the Bushes and stuff like that, we're in like this completely new era right now where anything goes.
Oh yeah.
So that must be scary, especially for a targeted group to experience at a young age.
Right. Yeah. When you grow up, and I was kind of used to that because it was growing up for me, it was always hearing about don't ask, don't tell was a big thing. I remember Reagan. I remember the AIDS crisis. And although I wasn't old enough to be sexually active at the time, and I didn't have to deal with that as much, but I remember the issue with Reagan not being able to say the word AIDS until Rock Hudson was diagnosed, and it was their friend, and they finally knew somebody, and they're like, oh, well, maybe we should actually talk about this. And it's like, it's just disappointing. And that it's all the way back to that point is I think we're still struggling with this. And I think this happens a lot more with men than it does with women, is the struggle with empathy. There's such a lack of empathy because we don't teach the younger generations to be empathetic.
Males,
males especially, yes. Women are supposed to be empathetic. Men are supposed to be tough and just screw everybody else. It's just about me. And it's like, no, it's really not.
Yeah. And the direct result of that is that men are 3 times more likely to commit suicide than women are.
Yes.
And they're, probably 10 times more likely to end up in prison, for violent offenses like domestic assault and those sort of. And that's because we're not taught empathy. Empathy is something that does need to be taught. It's not something that happens. It does incur it is part of the human experience, but you have to know how to process empathy.
Right. Right. I think the worst phrase I've ever heard in my life when it comes to that is boys will be boys.
Yeah.
It is the worst possible thing you can say about kids who are behaving badly.
Yeah.
Because 9 times out of 10, that behaving badly is them being violent or
Selfish.
disrespectful to
Impulsive.
somebody, impulsive, without learning that you have to think about people's feelings.
Yes.
And they're not being taught that because they just go, well, boys will be boys. And it's like, that's such a terrible thing to say.
It really is. It really is. And I think a great thing that the gay community has that I want the straight male community to have is a support system. Just because, like, I feel that gay men have been under fire for so long that they really needed to build that support system and that bond that they have. And men are, like, straight men are just so scared to have those kind of connections with other men because we're, like you said, we're not taught empathy. We're taught to be solitary.
Although that is very much
our own. We're taught to keep our feelings inside. And we have to live isolated in these bubbles. And within these bubbles builds up rage because we don't know how else to express it.
Yeah.
And so that's what I want through, you know, these dialogues and stuff, is to create more community within men, straight, gay, whatever, and including women in that too, because I think that women, are really the key for men to being better. You know, we need to listen to them more and to hear their voices in this conversation, this crisis of masculinity that we're having.
Yeah.
Let me transition a little bit. So one major difference between the gay community and the straight community is that us straights, we don't really have archetypes. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you're a dude, you're a dude, you're a dude. But man, like, by being friends with gay men, I have learned so much about different archetypes. I've heard about bears. I've heard about twinks. You told me about a twonk. Was that right?
Yeah.
What can you?
Combination between a hunk and a twink. So it's generally a thin, hairless guy who's also built. So has a lot of muscle, but it's generally thin and hairless, and that's a twonk. Yes.
The funniest one I
obviously fit in the bear, the big beard, and I'm going for wolf though. That's my goal.
What?
I'm going for wolf. That's my goal.
The wolf?
Yeah.
Oh.
Wolf is like a bearish guy, but more trim and buff.
Okay. Okay. The funniest one I've heard was the demon twink.
You told me about that one. I hadn't even heard that one. I'm like, that's funny.
I was dead when I heard that. Let's do a little game here. And if you were to categorize me within an archetype of the gay community, if I was a gay, which gay would I be? Like a Pokemon. Which one would I? Which one would I be?
So I think because you had the facial hair, and you do, from what I remember seeing some pictures of you online, you have a bit of a hairy chest.
Okay.
And you're muscular. I would probably put you in the wolf category.
Wolf.
If you were less muscular, you'd be an otter.
What's otter?
So an otter is it's a thinner guy. Usually they do have some muscle, but they're more very lean instead of buffed out. So they're more lean muscle and hairy. Otter. They usually have hairy chests and beards and stuff, but they're a little leaner, and that's an otter. Like when so at one point before my fitness journey, and you've seen the pictures I've showed you, I was down to 180 pounds. I was rail thin, but I had no muscle, and then I was an otter then.
Right?
What's that?
You're 6'5", just so the
I'm
audience.
6'4". Yeah.
6'4". Okay.
Yeah. And so I'm like, yeah, I was really, really thin at 180 at 6'4", and I was definitely an otter at that point. And then
Nice.
So,
So let's talk about your current relationship, because first, like, this is the story here. When I was training you, you were single, right?
Yeah, I started single. Yeah. When we first started training, I was single. Yeah.
And then you came in and you said, "Oh, I have a boyfriend," and he's like, and I'm like, "That's great, that's great." And then you come in like, I don't know, like a month later, and you say you have another boyfriend. I'm like, what is going on here? You're getting all these men. So tell us about that. Tell us about your polyamory.
So one of the things actually that the last relationship I had, kind of one of the reasons why it blew up a little bit, was because I realized that I'm what we call polyamorous.
Mm-hmm.
I have the capability, and I'm more prone to wanting to have more than one partner at a time. For my work too, because I work in television and film, I can be sent out of town for long periods of time. And it makes me actually feel more comfortable being in a polyamorous relationship, because if I'm out of the picture for that long of time, at least the two others are still with each other, or still seeing each other. So I'm not leaving somebody completely alone for a long period of time. So that helps me, just because there was a whole lot of guilt feelings about leaving my previous partner and stuff too. And we tried opening things up a little bit and being a little more polyamorous, and it was just not something he was comfortable with.
So I have a question about that. So the polyamorous relationship, you're in a relationship with two designated people, right? But can a polyamorous relationship also be where you have one designated person and then you can just see whoever you want? Or is
Yes. So you generally, though, polyamory means it's more than just an open relationship. It means you actually have multiple relationships. So there are people who are just open, and then there's the people who are actually actively dating more than one person. And that's what we're doing. We're a throuple, as they would say, because my first partner, the one I met back in last July, was already seeing somebody. And then I met with him, and we started dating as well. And so, he was, but it's a unique situation too, because my primary partner is gay. My secondary partner
is.
I'm sorry?
Can you tell us what a primary is?
Primary just means it's the person I spend the most time with. Like I spend most of my time with my primary partner. There's also a term called nesting partner. If we were living together, he'd be my nesting partner. And then my other partners would be outside of that relationship. But my secondary partner is married to a woman. He's bisexual. But she has a lot of health issues that doesn't allow her to be actively in the relationship, in the sexual realm. So he has always been bisexual, and before he met her, he had a boyfriend in college, and so they decided that when she got ill and she couldn't be intimate anymore, that he was going to explore this side of himself again. And so he's been doing that, and it's been good. They're really two really fantastic guys in very different ways. It's kind of like I don't know. I think this paints me in a bad light to say this, but it's like dating the Tin Man and the Scarecrow, because then that makes me the Cowardly Lion.
Or Dorothy.
Or Dorothy. Or Toto. I don't know.
Toto.
But they have very different personalities, and they complement each other very well, and they complement me very well, and we have generally a great time together. So and I'm learning a lot too, because the secondary partner is he's a spiritual leader in the community, and so in his community, so I'm learning a lot about his spirituality and everything. So it's fascinating to see that side of him and to learn all about that.
This brings me to a word.
Because I'm an atheist, so like I don't do the spiritual thing normally. So
that's awesome. That's great that you get that experience. This brings me this brings me to a word that I learned recently, and I want to share it with you. So I might go off here for a second, but don't worry. I should. You still hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I'm going to bring this up and I'm going to read this to you. So the word is called is compersion. And I'm going to read you the definition of it. And I just want you to tell me how this resonates with you. Compersion is sometimes described as the opposite of jealousy. It's the feeling of joy, empathy, or happiness when your partner experiences love, pleasure, or connection with someone else. The term originated within the polyamorous community and has no direct synonym in most languages, which makes it a rather poetic word, almost like emotional alchemy, turning potential insecurity into warmth. To be clear, compersion doesn't mean someone never feels jealousy. It means they've cultivated emotional security and empathy deep enough that jealousy doesn't dominate the experience. It becomes one signal among many rather than a storm.
Yes.
Yes.
That is, yes. I've heard that word before, and it is a very good word.
Okay.
It does fit. It certainly does fit polyamorous people a lot because, there's a joy in knowing that you're not the only person that you can connect with different people for different things and experience the gamut of life and what it has to offer you. You're not relegated to staying monogamous because it's the only way that you know how. We figure it out. When we figure out that we're polyamorous, we're like, oh, I don't have to play by those rules. And there's two philosophies that I have taken for my own, and it is and it kind of goes back to the empathy thing, so a little full circle on that. It sort of fits the golden rule, but Wiccans say this, pagans, that if it harm none, do what you will.
Okay.
And that also means yourself. So you can't harm yourself. So it's not like you can be simply going, oh, I can do as many drugs as I want because I'm not hurting anybody else. No, you're hurting yourself when you do that. So as long as you're not hurting anybody else, you can do what you want. And I love that philosophy. And the other one is that we are all connected, that we need to lead with empathy because there's a couple of spiritual practices out there that believe in this general type of thing where we are reincarnated constantly into different people, and we have all been each other and will be each other.
Yes, I've seen something about this. So the person you're talking to is yourself at a
yes, in another life. So you lead with empathy because you need to be kind to yourself. So you lead with empathy because that you have to remember that this person, whatever they're going through at that moment, is you going through something bad. If they're going through something bad, and you need to lead with empathy to try to help.
And another thing too that I do within therapy is that whenever someone triggers me or gives me, whenever I have a feeling of, let's say, not necessarily rage, but just a reactionary feeling to something about someone, it's usually something within myself that bothers me that's being reflected to me.
Yeah.
And I think that we have to take the time instead of, seeing something that pisses us off and just going straight at it. You're not doing much because you're just hitting a mirror, and you're directing that anger at the wrong place. You got to go within and be like, why is this person pissing me off so much? Why
Right.
does it get to me this much under my skin? And
Yep.
then you look within and see, oh, it's something deep within me that's happening.
Yep.
That's empathy,
Yep.
you know?
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, that's exactly it. Because yeah, there's like if somebody calls you a bad word, or you know, is being a bully basically to you, and you get angry about that. If you look at yourself, you go, why am I being angry about that? And it's because it's fear, because you no longer feel safe. Now you're feared. And so, and if you process that and go, but I'm not really threatened by this person, I'm just annoyed about what they're saying. But you process that, and then you can turn it around and be like, okay, look, I don't know what you're going through, but you don't need to say that, and it's not okay. And you can rationally speak to them without yelling at the top of your lungs to them.
Or you can take your energy and just walk away from them and just be like,
or that.
time to heal, grow,
Yes,
and it's not my job to do that.
that is true.
Yeah, and I think going along with what you just said, also, it's something, you know, it goes back to something within yourself. You know, it really does, because you are your most critical critic, right? And
Yes.
so someone bullies you, like if you went ahead and called me like, I don't know, whatever, you call me weak or whatever, I would laugh it off. I'd be like, you know, I've proven myself many times, I've gotten records, whatever. It
Right.
doesn't mean anything to me. But if you say something to me that does get to me, then that means that I believe that about myself, you know, and that's something that I have to look in, and I maybe have to be kinder to myself in that aspect, and you know, say, you know, you're not like ugly or something like that, you know, that's a negative self-belief you have, and then someone else is telling you that and it affects you that much, it means that you somewhat believe it, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. It's true, because I've, like, several times in my life I've been called the F word.
Mm.
And you know, when I was younger, it would devastate me. I was so upset because I was like, oh my God, do I present in a way that obviously shows this? Because it will, like, and then later I was, you know, after years of therapy, after years of therapy,
We
I get that word. Yeah. Yeah. I'd get that word and I'd be like, yeah, and like, yes.
mm-hmm,
What's your point?
exactly.
So
And
it's a total turnaround of how it used to make me feel. It's just like,
that's healed,
okay,
that's a healed, you know, that's the
yeah,
reaction of a healed man in comparison to someone who's hurt, you know.
right,
And I don't think enough men are going on that healing journey early enough. um
yes,
you have a lot of hurt men out there, and that's why a lot of people are hurting,
yeah.
you
And there's so many men who are afraid of therapy,
know?
who
Yeah,
just, like, they resist it at all costs, and it's like the one of the most important things you can do for yourself.
yeah, I mean, my family went ahead and, you know, was like, therapies for crazy people, you know, therapies, you know, like you're weak if you
Yeah,
need therapy. And you know what? Like
it's absolutely wrong.
yeah, it ruined it, like really made me emotionally weak person. And I
Yeah,
didn't become emotionally strong until I started taking therapy seriously. You
yeah,
know, I thought that we were talking about how weightlifting, you know, helps with depression and that sort of thing. And that's why I originally took it up, is like to get out this rage, to get out this, you know, depression and trauma. But it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough because as much physically as I would build up my shell and like get strong or whatever, I wasn't getting to the root of the problem.
right.
And it allows you to have structure like you do with weightlifting or whatever, but on an emotional basis to emotionally strengthen yourself.
Yeah,
And, you know, men, we were talking about, you know, images and stuff like that. And one thing is really about men is being strong, you know, physically. But we're not promoting men being strong emotionally. We're promoting man childs, you know, men children,
Yes.
grown children.
Yes, we have far too many of those. Yes.
So what kind of boundaries are you currently setting in your polyamorous relationship?
So that's a very good question. So being polyamory, for one thing, takes a lot of patience, communication, and just trying to understand, and empathy. To make it work, we have to schedule a lot. Especially like go ahead.
You guys go on group dates?
We do, yes, frequently, yeah. And then, but the harder part is to schedule times where we can be alone with each other. My primary partner and I can be alone, and then my secondary partner and I can be alone, and we can do trips and do things like that. Scheduling that's a little trickier, but we do try to do that. My primary partner, one of the big reasons why I've been spending so much time with him is because his dad has been very ill for the last year or so, and I was helping him out a lot when I wasn't working. I've just recently returned back to work after 2.5 years. So a lot of that time I was spending with him was helping him with his dad, and they are going to take a trip next month or the month after. Can't remember if it's at the end of November or end of December, but I'll be on dad duty.
Okay.
For instance, so that's like I don't. It's a weird thing when you're like, oh yeah, I'm babysitting I'm helping sit with the dad of one of my partners so that he can go off and be with another partner. And but that's where the compersion come in, because it's like, oh, I'm super happy to do that because I want them to have that time together, because they really need it, because they haven't had any really good time together like that in a long time, because his dad has been going through so many health issues. And it's true, that is the compersion word is very good.
So yeah, that brings me to every guest. I tell them one thing I really appreciate about them. And there's several things I appreciate about you. But one thing that I really appreciate about you is your level of empathy and caring for others and putting others first. You have been nothing but kindness and gentleness since I've known you, and how I see you handle your partners with their fathers, with their, with sickness and all that. And you're always there. You're always dedicated. And that says a lot about you as just a genuine human being. And I'm always excited whenever you come in, because you put in the hard work, and you care really about the process. And so thank you. Thank you for being you. I appreciate how kind and gentle and empathetic you are.
And thank you for being you, because you have quickly become, over the last year, not just somebody I pay to help me get fit, but a good friend. And I appreciate
it. You are, definitely.
It's been a joy getting to know you, and it's great talking to you every week and getting to see you. So and you help me get stronger. So that's
What's next with the fitness journey? What are our goals? Tell me.
I want to try to get stronger, try to get in. I haven't really actually thought of anything beyond just upping my levels of being able to bench press more and deadlift and squat more. And that's, those are those things that we're working on. So those are
we're going to turn you into a.
Yeah. Yes, that's the goal.
Let's go. That's fantastic. So yeah, and another thing that you have going on is that you have an amazing voice. You're a singer, and you have a performance coming up. Do you want to tell us about that?
I do. So I belong to a group called the Friends of Musical Theater.
Okay.
It's a really nice, great bunch of people who really enjoy spending time talking about Broadway and all the shows that are out there and everything. And they meet once a month at the Women's Club of Hollywood.
Okay.
Anybody can come. It's free to attend, and it's the next one is November 8th, so not this Saturday, but following.
Okay.
And
What time?
it's from 2 to 4:30.
Okay.
Is
Yeah,
there? Yeah. They start at 2, and there's going to be 3 of us singing. It's for the new members. I'm technically a new member because I've only been with them less than a year.
Okay.
So I've and I did used to be a singer. I was a professional singer in Chicago for 10 years. Worked musical theater and light opera. And then when I moved out to here, I stopped performing for a while. But then I was I did do some opera in Santa Monica for about a year or so. And then I started working in the entertainment industry, and that just took up all my time. So it's been not a lot of chances to perform. So when they asked me to, I was like, yeah, that'd be great. I haven't performed in a long time.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
You know, I went through a similar experience. I was in acting before.
Yes.
And, like I took a huge layoff, and I did my first performance over the weekend.
Yeah.
Karrel.
I know, it's great.
An aerialist. And that was the
Fantastic.
first time I performed in front of the audience in 10 years. So
Right.
it's always good to perform, and especially if you have it within your blood, that kind of actor,
Yeah.
that performer.
Yeah. It's always good to create something.
It's great to bring it out.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah. And my good friend Steve is going to be doing comedy that day too. So
Whoa.
musical theater related comedy. So so that'll be interesting.
Well, Conor, it's been such a pleasure talking with you, and
Thank you.
for your honesty and just being so forthright with us about your experience as a man. And I'm going to continue having these conversations with people of all different types of life. Because this is something that I'm very passionate about, and I feel that we need to be having more of these conversations as men, with many voices. We shouldn't just be listening to these people that are selling snake oil on social media, telling you to be toxic. No, there's a whole lot of array of people that have many different experiences as a man, and we should integrate all of them to have a cohesive community of strong men, not only physically but emotionally.
Right.
I really appreciate your time, Conor, and I look forward to the progress we make.
Yes.
All right, brother. So I'm going to sign off now. That's it for today's episode of The Other Side of Tough. I'm Jack Starr, reminding you that real strength is found on the other side. Catch you next time. Thank you, Conor.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.